Welcome to Inside Campbell Basketball with Campbell head coach Kevin McGeehan. I'm Chris Hemeyer. Coach, your Camels have won 4 straight games, 6 out of their last 8. They're now all alone in 4th place at the top of the Big South Conference standings. In your eyes, what has been the biggest reason for the recent success?
I think we've just sort of found some consistency in everything that we're doing. So I think, practice habits have gotten consistently better as the season's gone along, and I think that has started to translate in game action.
Coach, we'll take a look at what were some sensational highlights over another 2-game sweep. It starts as USC Upstate comes into town, and we'll have more on Jordan Whitfield later. He did have 14 points, but 2 big ones at the end. Ricky Clemens, how hard is he to keep out of the paint?
Well, like I said, I think I said a couple weeks ago, he's number one in he's back up to number 1 in foul rate in the entire country. So I think that's a testament to how hard he is to guard when he puts his head down and goes to the basket. Really, really determined driver, and I think that because he's such a good playmaker out of it, there's a highlight right there that shows it. I think that makes him even more dangerous.
And he was setting up Messiah Thompson. Messiah Thompson, incredible. I mean, that's a Chris Clemens move right there. He had a career-high 19. What's gotten into him and his confidence?
I think just, more opportunity and just general overall confidence in how he's playing and what we're trying to do. I think defensively he's really gotten himself to be pretty solid, and I think that's allowed him to be a little freer on the offensive end.
We saw P.J. Carter come in and contribute. Cedric Henderson Jr., he was 16 points, 5 boards. He was 10 for 10 from the line. Josh Lucene, the Chief, 7 points and 7 rebounds. And I know you'll love this. Austin McCullough back and contributing after missing over a month with a broken wrist.
Yeah, I mean, we got contributions from everywhere. It was really nice to see Austin back in there. I mean, I know how hard he's worked to try to get back in the mix and the flow. And made good on his opportunities, and I would anticipate that he'll continue to, his role will continue to evolve, and hopefully can get back to where he was playing before the injury. But definitely a huge lift having another guy in there with experience that's hungry and ready to move and play hard.
Your defense was big down the stretch, but Coach, this play here with 25 seconds left, it set up a fantastic shot. Now, take us through this final play.
The initial look was for Chief to make a play there off the inbounds, and they defended it really well. And sort of part 2 was the ball going back to Jordan, and that part came through. And obviously, he in real time, I thought he. I didn't even think it was a foul, but when I went back and looked at it, it actually was. As soon as he got that guy up in the air and he kind of rode into him. But in real time, I was thinking, oh no, that's not the shot. That's not going to be a makeable shot. So I didn't even think about it. But it was a tremendous effort and make for him, and huge game on the line, thing that seniors do, and then a huge block there by Chief at the end. He got just enough of it. It's great to see those guys, the excitement in those guys. I was at the other end doing the same thing, but I haven't seen that reaction yet. That was pretty cool.
It was a fantastic reaction, and Coach, I think because that shot was so amazing, the final defensive play you talked about, the Chief and what he did, but your team held USC Upstate without a point for the final 4 minutes and 28 seconds. Josh Lucene was playing most of those big defensive stands with 4 fouls. Everybody played well. Your defense is what really won you that game down the stretch.
Yeah, there's no question. And I think I may have mentioned this in postgame, but G had been sitting for a really long time, and then with Chief having the 4 fouls, we decided to insert him there at the end to try to get the trap. And to be, to stay engaged in the game and be able to have an impact when it mattered the most and really attack that possession which resulted in the turnover and then an immediate sub out of the game to get our lineup back for the offensive set to score the final basket was really needs to be recognized, because that was a contribution that, had we just continued to ride with Chief, knowing that if we don't get to steal, we have to foul, and he fouls out, then who knows how it goes. And they're shooting free throws, but he came in there and made, Jordan and him made a nice trap and forced the walk and the turnover, and then we were able to make good on the final shot there. So exciting.
Once again, an exciting thing. You had to get your guys back physically, mentally, emotionally, and you did that by coming out strong. As we take a look at game number 2, just 24 hours later, your guys came out and a fantastic start to this one, getting off to a 15-point lead. Cedric was phenomenal, 22 points, 4 boards, 10 of 15 from the floor, and we talk about it every time, but just showing what he can do from all the levels.
Yeah, he's really a terrific player, and that was impressive there. Late, we got a bunch of cuts to the basket, I think, early on, and what we talked about at halftime was just trying to wear them down with our precision and our execution, and knowing that if they had to guard 2 and 3 different actions in our offense each possession, that eventually we would get something good. And late in the game there, when they had closed it to 2 and then we rebuilt the lead, it was all about executing really, really well with patience, and I was really proud of the guys sort of having the approach they did down the stretch to rebuild that lead and sort of make it comfortable at the end, which has not been the case every game.
And speaking of a 3-level scorer, Jordan Whitfield, you saw there, 15 points, career high 8 rebounds. And then Messiah Thompson, again, what's most impressive about his 10 points, he didn't have any threes this time. He's really showing us a lot what he can do on the drive. He can dish that ball as well. Just sensational what he's been adding to your team.
Yeah, he's been really good, and I think his aggression with an understanding of his how his size can be an advantage and not a disadvantage has been really big. And he's been making plays in the in-between game, which I would say earlier in the season he was mostly just threes, but to come out in that second game and get a bunch of baskets from 2, and actually in the first game he made a finger roll and a floater, and making himself multidimensional, and he's very, very good when he gets in deep, gets his feet in the paint, finding guys underneath. So
a 15-point win in game number 2, another sweep, and Coach, it's interesting because of with COVID and people being around and your team, it seems like there's an older, experienced team because they played so many games together. But really, I think it's Ricky, Jordan, Milos. Those are the only guys that have been in your program for more than 2 years. What we're seeing now, is it all of these guys finally kind of gelling before our eyes?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's part of it, right? You normally have a very long non-conference slate that allows you to build, and we got a later start, as did everybody. And so I think you're seeing teams hit their stride at different times this year because, in part, it's a very different flow to the season, and the length of the season is different. And so, and maybe there's something too, having to do all these back-to-backs that makes you have to focus in a different way. It makes you have to find some toughness and some resiliency in your team and in yourself that has helped accelerate that process. I don't know for sure. I don't think there's any studies out there on it yet. But you see that some of the other teams in our league, like Longwood right now, is really starting to figure it out together. And I think there's some other teams as well, and maybe that's part of it.
Great big challenge coming up at the end of this week. You're in 4th place right now, a half game back is Hampton in 5th. You'll play them for 2 games. As we tape this on Tuesday, I should say, the schedule says Campbell's going to Hampton on Thursday and Friday, 2 games at 6 o'clock on ESPN+. If it is Hampton this week, Davion Warren is one of the best scorers in the conference. Talking to me before the game, you said this is a guy that could end up in the league. What makes him so special?
Well, he's a supreme confidence kind of player. At 6'6", I think he is. To do the things that he can do, making threes, scoring at the rim, and scoring on the mid range. He's definitely a 3-level kind of guy. He's so aggressive. He's also a pretty good passer. But I think that his length, combined with that, would make him interesting at the next level, being 6'6" and being able to do the things that he can do. But he's really impressive. Last night in watching the Longwood Hampton game, he started off slow, and by the end you look at the box score and it's 25 again. And he took a real hard fall at one point as well, and missed a minute. So there's a toughness to him that is real. I having watched a lot of film of him now, I'm really, really impressed, and I think it's going to be even more impressive live, and we got to figure out how to stop it.
Well, speaking of figuring out, by the way, when you guys are on the offensive end, protecting the rim will be a 7-footer, and a 7-footer who began his career at ODU. He's skinny, but he can move. He can do some stuff offensively, but he can block pretty much anything.
Yeah, he's an impressive shot blocker. I'm trying to think who I was watching. I think it was them against High Point the other day, and it was either High Point or Presbyterian. And one of the big guys who's a good player caught the ball and had a clear edge. Like, no doubt, he scores on everybody in the conference on that play, and he came over and wiped that thing away. And it was almost like everybody was shocked. Like, how did that get blocked? And so he's definitely a factor, and he makes their defense something. He allows them probably to take chances in different spots because he's back there to protect. We had a little bit of that a few years back with UD, where we could take some. Not that it was it's calculated risk, but you're allowed to be a little more aggressive with your perimeter when you know that there's somebody back there that's going to be able to affect the shot. He definitely does that.
Going on the road, you guys, because of different scheduling and that, have really enjoyed about a month here at home. Back on the road, 2 games that mean so much against such a tough team. What do you guys need to do to come out of there with wins?
Well, I think we've talked about some of it. I think it's defending them. They play at a pretty decent pace. And some of that's just the freedom with which they play. Very much aggression, and I don't think there's a lot of tension in the style with which they play. They have the freedom to shoot shots when they feel like they're open, and those shots might not be the best shots for other teams, but for them it's good, and it leads to pace of play a certain way. We need to really defend Warren, but like Shelton's a terrific shooter. Over 50% from 3, one of the best 3-point shooters in the country, and he's the beneficiary of a lot of what Warren can do to the game, how he can affect the game. Godwin's a really good player and shooter. Obviously, you mentioned the DeJour Dickens and what he does around the basket defensively. But at 7 feet, they can just throw it up and he can go get it. So there's a lot of things that we're going to have to do well to defend them. And I think on the offensive side of the ball, sticking with our identity, really just trusting each other, and that was the big theme in the last game is trust the next guy, trust each other, and if we trust each other, we'll be willing to move from one action to the next and play off our reads and have them have to figure out how to guard us for an extended period of time. And in that way, maybe we control the game somewhat. If we take care of the ball and we can defend them, we'll give ourselves a chance, a pretty good chance.
It's going to be a lot of fun. We hope you join us. ESPN Plus will have radio coverage back home on 88.3 and GoCamels.com. Kevin McGeehan and his Campbell Camels have won 4 straight. And as we get you hyped up for the big games coming up, we'll show you the latest video board intro video for our team. And we'll see you next time on Inside Campbell Basketball.
See me fly in with my superpowers. See the jaws drop as I climb my tower. See me flex, get it on camera. Too fly, I'm an alpha leader.